number 393, black bear hunt temporary. T004-10, Program Officer 3, Maureen Hullinger. Action. Maureen, what do we have for changes?
Again, for the record, Maureen Hullinger, Nevada Department of Wildlife License Office. Yesterday, I presented the CGR 393, which is draft language to establish a bear hunt. The language is relating to provisions governing the establishment of a black bear hunt, eligibility waiting periods, bonus point program, weapons restrictions, tag fees, and other matters. Yesterday, during the workshop on the language, the only request for change to the language from the Washoe County Advisory Board, and they requested to change the non-resident tag fee to $300. There was no other request for any of the language to be amended yesterday. So I will turn it back to the board.
Thank you very much, and I'd like to, at this time, invite public comment on this issue. Yesterday we had an extensive public hearing. I'd like to ask people that spoke yesterday, we heard your comments, we appreciate them, and if we could please give time to those who did not have an opportunity to speak yesterday on this item, we would appreciate it. And but it is open to public comment, and I'd also like to say, please refrain from applauding, booing, saying other comments. We'd like to be respectful to everyone that comes up, whether we agree or disagree. We'll show respect to you, and we'll show respect to everybody on every side of this issue. So at this point in time, we had some specific items here, Mr. Vice Chairman.
These are new cards I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
And I'll call them as I got them here. I've got a Rebecca Williams, followed by a Linda Burney. Rebecca Williams first.
Hello, welcome.
Hello, I'm a Nevada homeowner, hiker, backpacker, backcountry skier, and search and rescue volunteer, and I live in the front country of Mount Rose at 7,600 feet and have frequent interactions with our problem bears through my community. I want it to be on record that I am opposed to the bear hunt and believe the reasons stated for the hunt, including revenue generation and problem bear management, are an attempt to whitewash the truth that this may just be a trophy hunt. Bear hunting has been going on for decades in our neighboring states, which only show increasing bear problems between bears and humans. The only communities reporting a decrease in bear-human conflicts have put their resources and enforcement into programs that remove human-based food sources from the bears. I'm very concerned that due to the extreme technical skill it takes to take down a bear with one shot, there will be an increased chance that a wounded bear may be running or hiding in my neighborhood, or I will run into one on the hundreds of miles of trails in the area. I have personally been informed by hunters in the backcountry that they had shot a bear and did not kill it, and to be aware that it is in the area running around and that they were going to be tracking it. How will NDOW respond to this to keep us safe? It has been shown that states are not immune to lawsuits about having to do with bear attacks. It has taken NDOW officers in the past multiple shots at very close range just from guns to take bears down for enforcement actions, and recently took some hunters in Pennsylvania 9 bow shots to take down a black bear on the outskirts of town. This bear was headed towards town before they were able to finally take it down. Baiting bears is also a common method of bear hunting, and although I know it will not be allowed in these regulations, it concerns me that it will be impossible for you to be sure that hunters will not bait bears and increase our conflicts. As a hiker, I have been chased out of the California backcountry by a hunter baiting a black bear and mad that we were disturbing his area. He admitted to baiting the bear because he knew there was very little to no chance of enforcement. He actually showed us where he had been baiting the bear. I urge the board to please accurately represent the public and be honest about the number of people who are opposed or in support of this hunt. An accurate count of public opinion is typically required or minimally addressed before government agents make changes. It might be possible that the majority of Nevada residents, especially those who live in the hunting areas, do not support a bear hunt and that you did not simply get spammed. But it is your responsibility to accurately answer that question before voting in a new hunt. I have nothing against sustenance hunting, but the reason and justification for this hunt seems misplaced and misrepresented. NDOW should begin a stronger education outreach campaign and enforcement against people who allow bears access to garbage. Whistler, British Columbia, who has successfully gotten their problem bear population under control, has determined that a live bear is worth far more in tourism dollars than a dead bear in hunter fees. I would like us to get to the same place.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming out.
We have Linda Burney, followed by Robert Satter.
Hello, welcome.
Hi, I'm Linda Burney. I live in Sparks, but I also own a home up at Tahoe Vista, which is between North Star and Kings Beach. And when we first purchased our home up there, there was a problem with bears because people weren't careful with their garbage. Since that time, 90% of the people have put in the bear containers. We've had no problems. We walk in the woods. We're out and about all the time. I've seen one bear in the last 3 years, and he was running the other way because he didn't like me. So I really think it's not the problem bears, it's problem people that don't take the extra time to put their trash out in the morning before pickup. Leave food around, things in the garage that bears can smell. And I think those are the ones that should be punished, not the bears. You're only going to be killing good bears up in the woods, not the ones that are down in the neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you for coming out. Appreciate it.
Robert Satter, and followed by Valerie Cohen.
This is the lady next to me.
Huh?
The lady next to me wanted me to give you
Oh.
I'm concerned about poaching. Where there's a hunt, there's going to be poachers. And my problem is that Nevada have enough manpower to investigate this, enforce it? And that's a major concern of mine. There's something else I wanted to say. Will the bear hunt have an adverse effect on non-nuisance bears in the backcountry and make them go more to human areas? I want somebody to explain that to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming out.
We have Valerie Cohen, followed by Ann Bryant.
I'm Valerie Cohen. I'm a resident of Reno. I'm a professional artist. However, I do bring some expertise to the problem of bear management. In the late 1970s on into the 1980s, I was Yosemite National Park's first female law enforcement ranger. I subsequently worked in Grand Teton National Park. And in pursuance of my duties, I did mostly human interaction problems, DUI, traffic violations, firearms, assaults, and batteries. I was an EMT. I did a lot of search and rescue, but I also did bear management. That was back in the trap and release days, which scientists no longer particularly support for nuisance problems, but that's what we did back then. I worked in the high country, and therefore I was a long ways from the biologists who actually dealt with the bears. So I frequently had to tree bears, which you do by running at them as fast as you can, and they run up the tree. And then I had to keep them in the tree for 2 or 3 hours until the experts got there with the dart guns and such. So I was never scared. Helped to wear a uniform. Bears certainly notice your uniform. I think the problem of property and nuisance bears has already been discussed, so I'll go right to is this a big game trophy hunt? That is it for fun and money? I say it's not sport because it's not a challenge. Shooting a black bear, whether it be a backcountry or a front country bear, is pretty much like shooting kittens and feeding them to your dogs. I will conclude by telling you something I saw last summer. I was hiking in the Granite Lakes Basin in Yosemite, which is well over 10,000 feet. It was early June, a lot of snow. And I was going along this very steep hillside. I looked up the hill to see if I could get around this snow. I didn't want to walk on, and there was this bear about as close as you guys are to me. And at that time of year, the males tend to go up very high, whereas the females stay down lower with their cubs. And he was big, and he was beautiful, and he was just walking along, all in one direction, and the sun was glittering off his fur. And I thought, well, I think I'll whistle at him, as I call my dog, I'll spare you, and see what he does. So I whistled really loud, and he didn't even turn a hair. He might have flipped his right ear towards me, but he didn't stop moving or anything. He just kept going where he wanted to go. And if I'd had my shotgun, I could have just killed him. I wouldn't have had to even know how to aim it. It's not sport. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming out today.
And Brian, followed by Mark Ingram.
Hi, I'm still Ann Bryant, and I'm back. Thank you for letting me speak again. I'm not going to address the same things I did yesterday. I think I made myself pretty clear on how I feel about bear hunting. Instead, I'd like to say today that yesterday, sitting here and witnessing what happened and watching all of you and listening to your comments was extremely disturbing. It was very clear right from the start that your minds are made up and that the public comment is just a little ritual that you must go through, but you didn't listen to anything that anybody was saying except for the people on this side of the room who came to express their opinion that they think there should be a hunt. The numbers of people that were opposed to the hunt far outnumbered those who are in favor of it. That didn't seem to matter to you at all. Some of your comments at the end of the day were also extremely shocking. One of you gentlemen on this side, I think it was you, sir, said that hunting isn't about killing, it's about the hunt. Well, then I'm a hunter, because I love to go out in the backwoods too, and I get blisters on my feet when I wear my boots and I hike back there. But I hunt to find the bears and see them and take pictures of them. Can't you do the same thing? If that's what it's about for you, leave your gun at home. Bring your camera. You're still hunting. Also, the comment by you, Commissioner Rain, that it is about stopping the problems, and then Mr. Macbeth saying, no, it isn't, and the back and forth between you guys not even being on the same page. And you, sir, saying, and you were the most honest, and I appreciate your comments very much, saying that we want to do this because we can. That sets so wrong. I'm wondering, who do you represent? Do you represent the hunters only, or do you represent the citizens of the state of Nevada? Who owns these animals? First of all, in my opinion, and in most of these people's opinion, the animals own themselves, just like we do. You guys don't own them. The Nevada residents don't own them. However, it does say in your book that the residents of the state of Nevada own the bears. You're not listening to those people. You're only listening to a tiny minority of people who want to hunt. You need to listen to the people that you represent. You all have seats on this very important board who I used to have a huge amount of respect for, way more than the state of California. But yesterday made me change my mind tremendously. It just doesn't add up with where you're going. I want to close with one comment that will be real quick, and you're not going to like it. What I saw yesterday reminded me of the fact that what you're doing is if we put our nursery schools in charge of a panel of pedophiles.
Ma'am, no personal attacks.
I'm sorry.
Hey, please, no one should ever make, even applaud such comments. Come on. Please, who's next? Who do we have?
We got Mark Ingram, followed by Fran Apparonis. Thank you.
Hello, welcome.
Board members, thanks for letting me speak. I'm going to try to keep this simple, so forgive me for just reading what I've written. I'm a native Nevadan, born and raised here. I've hunted these rivers, these streams, lands and waters for as long as I can remember. This year alone, I've spent $150 or so on my fishing license, hunting license, stamps, tags. This money I've put into the ground, onto the ground. This isn't some, concept. I'm actually doing this. I've done this, for time immemorial. Mine. Forgive me. This year alone, I've spent over $5,000 on room, board, gear, and that goes into communities and, again, onto the ground. I find it insulting that we're hearing emotional Winnie the Pooh arguments from well-meaning but perhaps underinformed individuals.
Okay, sir, you need to stick to the issue and not attack people, okay?
Okay.
Can you get a little closer to the microphone that can hear you? Just
Sorry.
okay.
Heartstrings are rarely tied to reality. I just ask that you keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming out today.
Fran Apparonis, followed by Brooke Ingram.
Hello, I'm Fran Apparonis. I'm a resident of Reno, Nevada. I did hear about what happened yesterday afternoon, but I heard that secondhand because I could not be here. My impression was that apparently, as Ann Bryant just mentioned, but she didn't specify how she got her impression, was that there were a lot of facial expressions of boredom and rolling of the eyes, as in disdain and contempt for the speakers that were anti-hunting of the black bears. I would like to address that first and just simply say that procedurally and in a democracy that you gentlemen are held to a higher standard, as you know, and regardless of how perhaps distasteful the testimony of anti-hunters may be, you have a duty to be respectful and not to have an appearance of being arbitrary and capricious in your decisions. That's my first point. Second point is this. I am anti-black bear trophy hunting. I am actually against all trophy hunting. That's my personal stance. I have a right to that, as all of the other people here who are anti-trophy hunting or anti-black bear hunting. We have a right to our opinions. We have a right to our stance. The third point is, given that this panel, this commission, most likely is going to vote for the hunt, regardless of the majority of the people being against it, I plead and ask for a motion today for a change, an amendment to the wording to eliminate a spring season hunt and to move that to at least a very late summer and fall hunt only of these black bears in order to mitigate the impact on the general population numbers of black bears, because in a spring season hunt, it has been proven nationally that there's no way that a hunter can tell the difference between a male or a female, and certainly no way be able to tell whether a female is lactating. She may be foraging, having left her cubs behind somewhere else in a safe zone, and she will look like she's alone and possibly male. Therefore, they will kill her and leave cubs behind to starve to death. That diminishes the population, which apparently all of you are about in terms of populations and numbers. So at the very minimum, according to your own rules, your own mentality, and your own regulations, I ask that today one of you make a formal motion that in a following hearing, there will be an amended language to the provision right now before you to eliminate the spring season aspect and move it down to at least late summer and early fall. I realize bears go into hibernation, so, that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming out. Much appreciated.
Brooke Ingram, followed by Keith Ingram.
Hello, welcome.
Hello, how are you guys? I'm 20 years old. Okay, I live in Nevada. I've been living here for a while. I've grown up around hunting. My whole family's full of hunters, and it's not about the trophy. It's about the scenery and if you have fun. If you don't come back with something, hey, that's great. At least you had fun. The bear hunt issue, I think we should have it because, for one, it's starting to get overpopulated, and we need to keep a control on it. And it's for the sports, not just to kill them, And plus, they're killing off our other animals. So I think it should be, there should be a tag, and I hope you guys make the right choice. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming out today.
We have a Keith Ingram, followed by a Walt Gardner.
I spoke yesterday.
Pardon me?
I spoke yesterday.
Okay. Thomas Bayer will be up after this.
My name's Keith Ingram. I live in Reno. You guys got chewed out a little bit there, didn't you? I'd like to thank Chairman Lent for bringing up the fact that we all are here, hunters are here, and you all do. I'm getting nervous, but our hunters, as hunters, we support the Department of Wildlife, we support everybody, and we probably bought this building. So I think that our opinions, hunters' opinions, should be considered stronger than non and anti-hunting people. Like I said, I've lived in Nevada since 1955. Almost every state in the United States has a bear hunt, except for maybe 5 or 6, I don't know. But I support the bear hunt. And the people don't want the bear hunting, don't want any kind of hunting, but you guys need to find a backbone to stick up against anti-hunters and get this bear hunt going. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming out today.
We have a Thomas Bayer, followed by a Priscilla Bayer.
I spoke yesterday. I just have a letter that I would like to turn in.
Okay, bring it.
You can hand it to
Good morning, I'm Thomas Bauer. I live in Southwest Reno. Spoke yesterday, but I want to speak again today because some things were said after I spoke yesterday I'd like to address. I've come here again to speak in defense of the bears and against the proposed hunt. But it seems, according to today's RGJ headline, it would be like shoveling scat into the wind. But anyway, here goes. Other than the personal satisfaction of the individual hunter, I can see no redeeming social value to this endeavor. Several of the commissioners have tried to reach out to us, the opposition, by telling us that we don't understand. It's as if the hunting community has some sort of ethic that we who don't hunt will never be able to grasp. Well, I submit that we do understand. We understand the good works that some hunters perform in order to establish, proliferate, and protect wildlife. What we don't understand is the need to cull or kill these animals that are not a major threat or a desirable food source. As one commissioner pointed out, every one of these animals stuffed and mounted on a wall has a story, and therein lies the crux of the matter, the camaraderie of the hunters as they replay the story of the hunted animal, which of course has no rebuttal. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming back out there.
We have a Kathy Colvin, followed by Juliana Jefferson. Hope I pronounced those right.
Colvin's my last name.
Hello, welcome.
I'm Kathy Colvin. I'm a resident of Incline Village, and I've lived there for 32 years. I came from major cities, New York, Atlanta, San Francisco, and was tricked into moving into Lake Tahoe at the time, and delightedly so because I've stayed that long because it's a wonderful place. I am speaking in absolute opposition to this proposal. I have bears in my backyard. About 10 days ago, I had a mother and a cub. I would be absolutely appalled, as would any of my neighbors, to have something happen to those bears strictly because somebody thinks that the bear should be hunted. We live in an area where we're all environmentalists. And by the way, I'm not looking at my notes at all, and I can't see without my glasses. We live in an area that's very environmentalist. If you live in Lake Tahoe, you are one. That's part of why we live there. If you drive down our roads, you won't see garbage. If somebody throws something out of their car, they're very likely to have me behind them calling 911 saying, get them. Because we try to keep our place clean and neat. We are also incredibly conscious of the animals that we live with. We have deer, we have other coyotes. I have a coyote that used to go down my street every day. My old dog would go, oh, and the coyote would do the same, and every day they had this little procedure, and then they both go on their merry way. The bear and the cub that I had 10 days ago, the mom looked at me through my windows. It was literally off my little patio, about 10 feet from my doors, and she cocked her head. Then the bear cocked his head. I cocked mine, and the mother said to the bear, okay, time to leave, and they ambled on. They have been there in Tahoe longer than we have been there as people. I don't think having 200 to 300 bears is an overpopulation. I don't even know how they justified the figures. If you go hiking, and we have lots of hiking, I too am worried about wounded animals. I don't think a bear should be hunted at all. But if you're going to hunt something, for God's sakes, don't make it go up a tree with barking dogs and kill something that's defenseless. I've scanned all of the people I can, all the people I know, and I know a lot, because I've been there such a long time. Only one person was for a bear hunt, and that's somebody who lives by a stream and gets a bear in their yard once in a while. I get bears in my yard. I go walking early in the morning, especially during the summer. I'm often walking at 5 o'clock or 5:30, and I have encountered bears, and they stay down in their neck of the woods, and I stay right up on mine, and we just accommodate each other. We have changed our lives to accommodate these animals. A lot of us, I used to throw out dry breads. Oh, I am just a few minutes, 5 seconds? Seconds? Okay. I don't feed them anymore. My neighbors don't either. I put my garbage out no more than 30 minutes before it's going to be picked up. My neighbors do the same. We want the bears to stay. Thank you.
Thank you for coming out, Dave. Much appreciate it.
Juliana Jefferson.
Hello.
Hi, my name is Juliana Jefferson, and I'm a sportswoman of Nevada. I have never personally been on a bear hunt, but my aunt has, and I keep hearing people talk about it's just a trophy hunt, and personally, bear meat is one of the best meat I've ever had. I would like to spend my own money in the state of Nevada on a bear hunt, and there was comments about people wounding the animal and not killing it, and obviously, it's a skill level and you have to learn it, but I've killed 2 big game and I've shot a rifle twice, so it's not like, I don't know. That's my point. Thanks.
Thank you very much for coming out, Dave. Much appreciate it.
That's all I had on bears. I can see there's cards here that has.
All right, Mr. Corner.
I have a card there.
Okay. A lot of cards with nothing on it, but go ahead.
George Corner, representing the Nevada Outfitters and Guides Association. And you've heard testimony from Mr. Gardner and our president, Henry Krenke, that the association supports the bear hunt. Some of us have concerns. I am a hound hunter. I am a bear hunter. I don't support the spring hunt. I would much prefer we start out with a firearms-only fall hunt. And I want to keep it brief. The Department of Wildlife and everything I've heard hasn't presented that this is to resolve the problem bear. This is to give the hunters in Nevada the opportunity for a bear hunt. California hunters have that opportunity right across the line. We've heard a lot about fairness. The department has put forth that there is a huntable population in Nevada. It's only fair that Nevada hunters be allowed to hunt them. I hope the people that have spoken in opposition to this bear hunt will take that same drive, that same enthusiasm to their local governments and ask that they solve the problem bear and enact ordinances to do so. Thank you much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming out, George. Who else do we have? Sir, and then... You filled out a card?
I did.
Excellent.
It was
Yeah, there's a card, but it didn't have a subject on the matter,
Yeah,
Mr.
it's
Oh, it's Bear. Mike Stremler for the record. And first I'd like to say I'm sort of a libertarian by nature. I don't want to force anybody to hunt, and I don't want anybody to force me not to hunt. I'd like to base it on sound management principles, scientific management principles. And as far as the wounded animals go with dogs, I'm also a guide and do lion hunts. And I've never seen a lion get away that was wounded with dogs. So, and then as last gentleman had said about I'd probably be against the spring bear hunt and the fall only. That would be my personal, but like I said, I'm kind of a libertarian on some of this stuff. So I just want to put in my comments. That's it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming out.
We had Floyd Rathburn.
I'm Floyd Rathbun. I live in Fallon. I apologize for not writing the subject down on the card. I've actually got a secondhand story dealing with bears, and one of the ranches I work for is a sheep ranch in Lyon County, and in the last several years they've had 2 sheep herders injured by bears, one severely. His full-time job now is cook at the ranch. He can no longer tend sheep and no longer work in the hills. And because of that, because these animals are protected the way they are, I'm in favor of a hunt or any other activity that keeps these bears from becoming accustomed to having people around, to maintain their wariness and to make sure that they stay, that the bears are willing to stay away from people. These injuries to the ranch employees and the injuries to the sheep is expensive and unnecessary for just to have an animal for recreational purposes. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming out. Anybody else? Mr. Jennings.
Jim Jenny, Lyon County Game Board. I was up here yesterday, so this is a rehash. The one question I keep hearing in the back of the room is the very same thing, and I think there's a forgetting period in here. There's antis in here that are speaking against this. The one thing that everybody doesn't point out is there's 64,493 people that are hunters that we do not come in because they call their county game board people and they call the commissioners to tell them what they want, and they don't feel they have to show up to these things. I've been up here for 20-some years, and it makes it real hard to explain to people that these people are there. Once I go against what they want, they start calling me. So.
Thank you very much. We had, ma'am.
He spoke yesterday.
Hopefully something new. Be good.
I know you're tired of hearing from Humane Society of the United States, but I just really have to respond. Our organization alone represents 92,980 just in Nevada. We're all opposed to the hunt. I realize you're going to pass the hunt. I know that. But could you please, and after talking with Mr. Lent, I understand that the hunt will be later on in the year. It will not be a spring hunt. Could you please not allow the bow and arrow? And the gentleman, the guide who has the hound hunting, maybe you don't hear about it. Maybe it's only the humane organizations that hear about the dogs that are left to die in the woods because they're injured, or the dogs that are abandoned because they can't find them and they're ready to go home. Maybe you don't hear about that. But if you could oppose that, as the hunter said, just have it firearms. And hopefully not a city slicker from New York City who just got a rifle for Christmas. So if you could consider that.
Thank you very much. Consider that regulation. Anybody else? Sir? And then one more over here, it looked like.
Some constitutional concerns.
Just Tim.
Giuliana, representing myself. I'm a dues-paying member of the Humane Society. And are you listening to one of your constituents?
Please address the commission. Please address the commission and repeat that, sir. I couldn't hear you.
As a dues-paying member of the Nevada Humane Society, I want to go on record as saying I'm for the bear hunt. And the society is incorrect when it says all their members are opposed to this.
Thank you very much, Janet. Appreciate it. All right, we had another comment. Ma'am, we already had one person. Each person gets to comment. Ma'am, you have not spoken. Every person gets one chance.
She's already spoken.
That's, thank you. Ma'am?
Did you fill
Ma'am?
out?
Thank you.
Do we have a card on her?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's been brought up yet, but there's a black market for these, the bears. Sorry, it touches me very deeply that people would go and kill our bears in the North Lake Tahoe area to sell their parts on a black market. And I have a feeling that that's what a lot of these hunters are wanting these tags for, is because it's all about the money. It's not about, I mean, are there enough bears? 300 bears? Is there really enough to be out hunting? And how is that going to affect the population in years to come? I mean, it's obvious, I mean, after being here all morning long, hearing what has happened to these mule deers, that you're not about protecting our wildlife. And that really scares me. I don't want to see our bear population drop. And the bears in my neighborhoods, they all have names. And they have families. They're our wildlife. And we care deeply about them, and it really scares me. And just really, really makes me sad that you guys would not have the heart to understand that these animals really matter to us. Excuse my emotions, but it really, really, really touches me deeply. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for coming out today. Appreciate it. Sir?
Willis Lamb, Lion Cab, I already have a card in. A couple of quick points. One is that Mr. Yannick explains that he's a member of both the National and the State Humane Societies, in response to the lady's question back there, for your information. Over the last few weeks, those of us on the cab have gotten a number of input from the various constituents that we represent in Lyon County. And the Lyon County cab encourages and actually mines for general citizens to come to our meetings from other interest groups, whether they're the horse groups or the Sierra Club or what have you. The prevailing attitude that we perceived from our constituency was that any hunt needs to be accurately managed and based on the range biologists that are specialists in that field. And the other thing is that if this hunt is passed, the people in Incline and some of those areas need to be aware of the fact that there are county ordinances or municipal ordinances that regulate where hunting can take place in these developed areas. And one of the things that they may wish to do is, if I can reflect this off the chairman, is talk to their county commissions or their county regulation people and establish or determine where hunts may occur within the counties or within urban corridors and where they may not, because some of their issues may be addressed by local ordinances. And if they're not addressed by local ordinances, or if there's some things that are lapsed, then they can go to their local bodies and adjust things so that some of these neighborhood animals that they come in contact with that they don't feel are a problem aren't going to be part of the hunt. Thank you, sir.
Excellent. Thank you for coming out. Dave, we have anybody else? That's, one last comment.
I'll end the day with the last comment. Paul Dixon, Clark County Cab. I want to say that I appreciate everybody who's come in here to speak for the black bears and not having a hunt, but I think that Commissioner Macbeth yesterday, for those of you who were here, pointed out that I believe the sportsmen of Nevada, and as Gil Yannick pointed out, all 64,000 of us are probably as large of wildlife conservation advocates as you are, and we have slightly different methodologies, but as Commissioner McBeth said, our goal is to maintain and preserve the species for perpetuity. And animals that we hunt, we maintain and do things special, whether it's predator control for mule deer or desert bighorn sheep. I mean, 40 years ago, how many desert bighorn sheep did we have in this state? I mean, and anybody who's around here, look what we have now that is viewable, that's useful for ecotourism and other things. Black bears are going to be handled exactly the same way. The only thing I would leave this commission with is the recommendation that the Clark County gave, is that when you set your season quotas, for the first couple of years, we basically do those very conservatively. And when I say very conservatively, we really get conservative. We see the number of hunters that we have applied to see where our basis is for this. We also work with the groups that are here today to show them what we're doing and reaffirm population and issues. And if we do it very conservatively, as Commissioner Vogler said, this is a temporary regulation. We could always suspend if we found things weren't going well, but my belief is it will show a positive impact on black bear populations and other things. Much to what people can't believe is that you could actually probably increase black bear populations by doing this and properly managing them. Thank you.
You know, Mr. Dixon, it's not when, it's if. If we propose a regulation, it's not when we do.
Thank you for
We
this
haven't voted on it
clarification.
yet.
Thank you very much. Was there any further public comment? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing on this matter, bring this back to the commission. I'd like to just address a couple things that have come up. Several observations made by members today and yesterday for the allegations that they have been made about observing illegal activities. I understand those activities may have probably in other states. I'll say, and also to the harvesting of parts, if this regulation does pass, those would be illegal. And with any illegal act, I would recommend that you contact any of the individuals that you see in uniforms with stars, Mr. Bonamici's crew of game wardens, and I think they would be more than happy to do what is right and enforce our laws. He does the law enforcement state game wardens do a very good job at that. So if you do observe that, please notify them. Also, historically, hunters have been those who funded game production, who keep them. The reason why animals exist throughout much of the United States is because hunters have been preserving, protecting, and propagating them for many decades. Every commissioner I've ever met is an environmentalist. The methodologies might be different than others that think they're environmentalists. I think we're talking about it's a matter of methodology. It's not a matter of differing goals. We're here to help the animals. All right, I'm done with that. Mr. Pearl.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple of things. First of all, to the gentleman that indicated they were concerned about poaching, we have poaching now, even when there is no hunting. But I think there was a comment made yesterday relative to the fact that hunters are the ones that our wardens depend upon to contact them when they're in the field where they see illegal acts or people who are looking to perform illegal acts. So the very act of hunting the animal puts people out there who do not want illegal hunters out there, who do not want people who are breaking the law in that. You're absolutely correct. All of you have said you have the right to take a stance on this issue, and you have. And you were given that opportunity in the last 2 days. So were others who had a differing opinion as to what their position on this was. I would tell you that Carl Lackey, and this is interesting because Carl Lackey was mentioned by several of the people who are opposed to this bear hunt as being one of the experts in the field, and he is. And he has the biological information. He has provided it It's been provided at this meeting also, but over several months' period of time while this has been cooking, if you will. And there's no question that in his mind that there is a huntable, sustainable population out there. That's how we have to make our decisions with respect to whether or not we have a hunt, no matter what the game might be. I know quite a few houndsmen, and I will tell you this, I don't know of a single houndsman who would ever leave his dog out in the field for any reason. I've had people that will go out over, if something were to happen, they're going to be looking for them even in the dark. Those people, their dogs are like family members, like you've mentioned, with respect to your animals and that. I also have some concerns about a spring hunt, but folks, that's not in this regulation here. That has to be set with respect to when we get into season setting and that. So in my reading of the proposed regulation, there is no spring hunt specifically mentioned in here, unless I'm wrong. Pardon? Secondly, I think we've heard from quite a few people, even those who are in favor of the hunt, that they would prefer to see it left as a fall hunt, and I would concur with that. I think I would also concur with the idea that at least for the first couple of years that we restrict it to rifle weaponry only and not to bow and arrow. And I know I'm not going to have very many friends over that, but the fact of the matter is we want to gather data, and that is one way to do it, is to have the hunt, observe the results, and make adjustments from there. If it doesn't work, we will be the first ones to admit that and make the changes or eliminations necessary. You know, I've dealt with bears myself quite a few. Anybody sitting here, most of us, all of us here have hunted all our lives. And we've come across bears at various times in that. And the one thing you got to keep in mind, they are wild animals. And trying to pet them or trying to feed them or trying to encourage them to be part of your family is not a good idea. We've had two incidents, one on the California side here just the other day, where the owner of Bakke's, I'm sure all of you are well aware of that situation, had to kill a 500-pound black bear who he found on the floor of his restaurant, and who charged him when he tried to wake it up to get him out. It's been in the newspaper. He is very upset that he had to shoot that animal, as was his wife and that. But that shows you that they are dangerous. A couple of months ago, we had one in which was under somebody's porch, 600-pound black bear. That's a big black bear. When they attempted to get it out from under there, he charged one of the officers, who unfortunately had to kill the animal. They're wild animals. They shouldn't be treated as pets, and so I think that what's been established is that everybody's had their opportunity to set forth their ideas of what should be done and what shouldn't be done. And I am through with my soapbox.
All right, we've got Mr. Howell.
Ready to make a motion.
All right, do we have any further comment? And then we'll get to the motion. Mr. Cavan.
I've been relatively quiet on this issue, trying to listen to all parties involved, and I really think that everyone in this room probably assesses that at this point we have two issues: wildland bears combined with the hunting season, and urban bears, which is really an unrelated topic, but we've spent a huge amount of time on it. So I'd like to give you a little bit of my perspective on what I've seen in urban bears around my home. I moved to Carson City in 1975, lived in Carson for 10 years, never heard a word about a bear. If I had heard about a bear, I'd have been out there looking for him, because I'd like to see him. So I was there for 10 years. I bought a house over on the west side of town in 1985. There wasn't a bear. I still didn't hear about any bears. We had a poaching incident in Little Valley that caught a lot of news, and I don't remember exactly when that was, but I can still say that there were not any bears in Carson City. I never heard of a bear sighting. And about 6 or 7 years ago, that changed. What the trigger was there, I'm not sure. Probably bears being fed up at Lake Tahoe and filling up available habitat and that sort of thing. But I think I saw my first bear in Carson City about 7 years ago. And I can say that it was a novelty. I went and looked at the bear. Since that time, we've had a persistent increase in the bears in my neighborhood on the west side of Carson. I've seen more bears. They're there during the daytime. They're very much there during the night. And so 2.5 years ago, I came on this board. And as soon as the neighbors found out that I was on this commission, I started getting bear complaints. And the people in my neighborhood and the people in the west side of Carson City, for the most part, have a very different perspective of bears. Now I'm going to give you, fast forward again to last year. Gil Yannick, who's in the room, worked very hard. He's a sportsman, worked very hard on the bear problem in his neighborhood above Carson City in one of the forested areas there in a subdivision called Lakeview. They had a big bear problem. I think Gil had some very close quarters contact with bears. He diligently, along with Carl Ack in the department, came up with an ordinance for Carson City, and Gil, I think there's probably very little garbage problem in that Lakeview subdivision where Gil is now. They've cleaned up the garbage. They've did a big awareness thing. Well, they moved down the hill to my neighborhood. We had bears in our neighborhood, but now we've got lots of bears in my neighborhood. So I make it a routine on Tuesday morning on my way to work. I leave a little early and I drive up around my neighborhood and I look for people that have left their garbage out overnight. Not seeing much of that. The garbage containers aren't disturbed. If there is, I contact those folks and ask them to be more careful. So this year in my neighborhood, I can tell you, I changed my lifestyle, and I don't think I need to change my lifestyle. I have bears in my neighborhood constantly. In the summertime, I don't have air conditioning for the last 25 years that I've been in my house. I open up my windows and doors at night. I let the breeze come through. That's how we live. My neighbors directly behind me, the same thing. But guess what? They close all their windows and doors now on the lower level. Their master bedroom is on the ground level, and they sleep upstairs because they can't open their windows and doors at night to let the breeze come through. People are changing their lifestyles for these events. I had a woman call me beginning of the summer. She said, I don't know what to do about this bear in my neighborhood. I said, well, you know, what's the issue? She said, my mother
30-minute limit.
my mother came out a few days ago in the morning to go out and water her garden. There was a bear in her backyard. She is basically in the middle of Carson City. The woman will not go outside the house because she's afraid. So there's these relationships with bears that are touchy-feely in some areas, and in other areas, it's a public safety problem. I had a neighbor call and say, you know, we have a bear, I had a bear incident. What is it? My kids are walking home from the neighbor kids around the corner. The sheriff is there, they've got the road blocked off. They tell the kids to go back to their friend's house because it's a dangerous situation. Takes an hour and a half before those kids can come home. Completely disrupted their, it was a Sunday evening, completely disrupted their getting ready for school the next morning, their whole routine. People are changing their lives for these bears in Carson City, and they don't belong in town. And that doesn't have any, none of this has anything to do with the bear hunt. The urban bears are a separate issue. So I would plead with the people that want to take care of these urban bears that they go to their counties, get some ordinances in place to take care of their garbage. I don't see that as a fix because, you know, Gil fixed his problem and it became mine. 3 weeks ago, one of the neighbors had a bear on their roof. Well, I'm in a mature neighborhood now. 25 years ago, everybody planted these oak trees. They're beautiful oak trees. They're 40 feet tall now. The bear goes up the tree to eat the acorns. Can't blame the bear for that. And then he goes on the roof. These are other issues that people have. And yesterday we had, on another issue, we heard people complaining about, you know, we need to protect our children, we need to protect our dogs. And I don't hear anybody saying on this issue, we need to protect our children, we need to protect our dogs. And so I find that as being a convenient, you know, you pick the convenient excuse when it's convenient, and then you don't take that same stand on another issue that's also important. So I'm trying to sort all these things out, and I can tell you that my biggest calls on this commission has been bear complaints. And they're not, oh, I love to see the bear in my neighborhood complaints. And I'm not sure what the timing was, but the legislature took away our urban bear program funding, and the only responses we can get now from the Department of Wildlife are aggressive bears, and frankly, that's not acceptable. My neighbors, the people in Carson City, do not view these as welcome residents, I can tell you.
Right.
So I don't have a solution for the urban bears except for that when this I can tell you what has worked in the past, not for bears. When the sportsmen of Nevada wanted bighorn sheep, the department didn't have the money. Even though we have hunting license fees, all that. They didn't have the money. The sportsmen said, we want bighorn sheep. They went out and they raised the money. We have more bighorn sheep now than we've ever had. We have more bighorn sheep than any state. So I would ask the people that want to be advocates for bears to go out, raise money, increase our Bear Aware program that we already have. Help people buy garbage containers that are bear-proof. That's a $300 item. Not everybody can afford that. So I think there's some proactive things that the bear advocates can do that aren't being done. So at that point, I'll cut it off, and thanks for, sorry I'm on my high horse.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kevin. Do we have any more commissioner comments? A commissioner comment before we move down to Charlie.
Thank you, Chairman Rain. I made most of my comments yesterday, but I do want to let you know that I am going to be supporting the bear hunt, but I do want to acknowledge a couple things. First of all, I want to thank everybody for their input. I especially want to thank the bear advocates. I know you're disappointed, but I want you to know what the effect has been on me. I will speak for myself because in the meetings that we've had prior to this meeting, I thought I knew what I was going to do, but when I got the information, all of the information, and I've heard everything from you folks, I've actually changed my position on some things. And so I want you to know that your input has been very valuable, and it's caused me to support, advocating a couple things, and I'll let you know what they are. First one, I am not going to be supporting a spring bear hunt. I think it's a lightning rod for the sportsmen. I don't think we need to have those issues. And so I'm going to, and I'm very happy to see that the guides and outfitters are supporting that as well as some of the other commissioners. I hope that everybody gets on that wavelength, and that we're all on the same page on that, because I think that we just don't need to be dealing with those kind of issues. The second issue, and I'm not going to go as far as Commissioner Capurro with regard to the archery issue. I want to hear more from the archers, and I want to understand that issue more. But I am very concerned about, I see an issue with the use of archery equipment in urban areas and the potential for wounded bears. I'm not an archer, and so that is why I want to wait. I want to get more information, make sure that, if we're going to go down that road and eliminate the early summer hunt that has been talked about, that I fully understand that issue. And so I will. So I guess what I'm saying is that your participation has been good, and has caused me to change my view on this hunt, on certain aspects of this hunt. And so the other things that I want you to know is that and just specifically with respect to your issue on the gallbladders, it is in our regulation. Okay, we do have it, we do cover it, and so it is illegal to have any kind of commercial marketing of gallbladders, and so we're going to make sure that that the bear part issue is enforced. And I know our enforcement, our game wardens are going to be on top of that. I'm also going to be advocating that we go slow, a very conservative quota, and make sure that we ease into this, and so. I'll be really looking at that issue when it comes up when we set the quotas. And I'm also going to be very keen, and it's related to that, is how we're monitoring the population. I want to make sure we really continue with that. I've talked to Mr. Lackey about, we actually, on a lot of the populations of game animals that we have here in the state of Nevada, that of all of them, maybe we got the best data on the bears, and so I feel pretty good about that. I'm going to ask this commission to really explore, and I don't fully understand our jurisdiction on the urban problem bear issue and what we can do. Maybe it's a legislative issue that we need to deal with, to try to get the communities to get something in place to get this issue dealt with. But I'd like to see this commission at least explore what we can do at our level, even though it kind of appears to me that it might be a county or city, whatever the local government jurisdiction might be the ones that are really going to have to deal with that issue. Finally, I want to say something that probably hasn't been mentioned, but it was mentioned in one of our earlier meetings, and actually I think it was former Director Mayer had mentioned one of the possibilities that this commission has is to explore the propagation of bears in the state of Nevada. Now, I know our ranching rep is going to be glaring at me right now, and but what we talked about, just so you know, what we talked about was the possibility of one of the things that this commission and this department has done over the years, and it was explained by Commissioner Cavan with regard to bighorn sheep, is that one of the things that we are tasked with is the propagation of game species. And what that means is we, what we do with our bighorn sheep is that we'll have excess sheep, and instead of hunting them, or what we do is we capture them and move them, and we move them to new locations, new geographic areas.
Las Vegas would be a good place.
Yeah, yeah, for the bears. Yes. And so, anyway, my point is that we're going to be looking at, I'm gonna try to follow through with the propagation issue and see if we can't get bears in some of the other areas of the state of Nevada where the department has said that that there is historical range. Now, obviously, the communities in those locations and the ranchers in those locations and everybody that might be affected by something like that are going to be involved in that process. And so I don't know how realistic it is, but I do want it to at least be explored by this commission, and that's it.
Excellent. Like to point out, I think at this point, yesterday, Maureen, we had one possible change to the regulation, right? And that was so we have an option of either for the non-resident big game tag was $200 or $300. So when we get a motion which is forthcoming immediately, I hope that's one of the things we'll address. All right. I think I'm ready for motion. Ready for motion. Go ahead.
I move to approve Commission General Regulation number 393 with the caveat that we change the non-resident fee to $300 from $200.
Do you need a second on that? I'll second it.
Non-resident.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve CGR 393 as presented, changing under section 2 there on the first page, language explanations, the last line, September. Let's see, excuse me. I'm sorry, I got the wrong one. Wrong one. I got that in the wrong spot. Changing first page, section 2, subsection 2. Fee for the non-resident tag is $200, and changing that to $300.
That's the motion.
Okay. Is everybody clear on the motion? Question on the motion. Question on the motion.
No, I just got some comments on it.
Okay, comment on the motion.
Comment on the motion. I didn't want to make comments, so I saw what the motion was, I have some assumptions, but until I hear an actual motion, but for the people out in the audience, I don't think I had a definite position made up till I heard some of the testimony from the people in the audience, and I really respect them coming out and doing that. Contrary to what was said yesterday and in the papers that where mine was made up, all of us are prejudiced, but my mind wasn't completely made up, and since the motion's going this way, I'm going to vote for the motion, but with some explanation. I think I'm going to vote this way because I think we're doing this for the bears, and it's not for the money, because it's a minuscule amount that's going to come into the department to hunt these bears. So it's for the bears. It's not for the hunting. And gunshots scare bears, and it's been proven by the aversion techniques that they use right now when they transplant bears. With the dogs and the gunshot, it scares them, and so many bears die by car accidents, and I think it's better to hunt them than to let the cars kill them. And I think the idea of this thing is, hunting them to put bears back in the wild where they belong. And garbage cans are not the hunter's fault. And I will do the same position if this passes. And I made the comments yesterday. There's no way if this passes today we ever do a spring hunt. And that's what I was telling some people in the audience. And if this passes, I will agree to a fall season only, because I agree with you, shooting cubs is just bad, and it should not be tolerated. And so when we go to the season if this passes. I will not support a spring hunt. It'll be only a fall hunt. And then I also agree with the Guides Association. Maybe we should keep it firearms only. Contrary to what Commissioner Best said, he wants to talk to the archery constituents. Well, there are some archery constituents there, but I'm going to listen very carefully on what method of take we have on them when we do set a season. And if there's any concern that the archers are going to wound them or it's not sportsmanlike, well, then I'm going to really take that into heart. But I will only agree in a fall season when this comes, if it passes. And I know you guys can talk about it, but in New Jersey, because they quit the bear season, the problem got worse, and they had to reopen the bear season. And they're doing it because they had so many encounters with bears. And I just want to see if this helps decrease encounters with bears for trouble bears. It's not going to help the trouble bears, but from road kills. And I think we can learn from New Jersey, and I think we're going to get some information here. And as this commission, as a sportsman's rep, we're not going to do anything to jeopardize the population of bears. If this hunt jeopardizes the population of bears, we're going to be the first to shut it down. I guarantee you that, because there's no one in this commission wants to see the bears diminish. And we'll be keeping a careful watch on them. And when we open a hunting season, we take good care of those animals because we want to hunt them. And so we monitor them and we make sure they thrive and survive so they can have a population of them. So I think that there's always going to be bears if we have a season on them, if this passes. And so that's just my position where I come from, and that's all I had to say on that.
Excellent. Do we have any further discussion on the motion? Does everybody understand the motion? All in favor of the motion signify by stating aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes 8-0. No. But thank you for the most respectful boo that I have heard in many years, sir. I'll give you. I'll throw that out there. Want to break? Let's have a little break and.